The trial against former radio personality Ngizwe Mchunu has been postponed to the first week of December in the Randburg Magistrate's Court. Mchunu faces charges of inciting violence during the unrest in July 2021 and contravening the Disaster Management Act.
So the state asked for the matter to be postponed, citing the unavailability of the complainant, a police officer who is currently testifying in another court matter.
The main witness, Colonel Nama, is currently testifying in the High Court on a matter that is part heard, and he is the main witness that the state has to lead. Your Worship, in support of my application, I have an email from the Deputy Director of Public Prosecution confirming same, Your Worship.
But the defence objected, saying its client has been prejudiced.
Even on the two occasions, the record will speak for itself. This matter has been marked finally on two occasions. And in both instances, the matter has been adjourned at the instance of the state. And it was solely the reason that partially on the state problem. And it is clear that for all this time, the House of the State has not been in order.
The presiding magistrate also lamented the delay but granted the postponement. The accused then became emotional and asked to address the court.
My Lord, I'm pleading to you that, as you know, that each and every move in this country, after Corona 2 years, then the unrest, then the disaster in our country, now we are back to normal. Can this matter end? If I may be arrested, I must be arrested now, not later than now. If I'm guilty enough, because as I'm going out here, respecting the rule of law, what will happen, my Lord? So much cost that I'm involved in. Now I have to call people back. That next time I'm coming to court. For what? How many criminals that are out there? People were raped out there, my Lord, by the illegal miners. Nobody is taking care of that. You're just arresting an honest man that has never been convicted.
While the state is expected to rely on CCTV and cell phone records to prove its case. Well, the matter is back in court on the 5th of December. Griselda Lewis, SABC News at the Randburg Magistrate's Court.
Now, let's discuss this. We're now joined via Zoom by the head of the criminology department at the University of Limpopo, Professor Jaco Barkhuizen. Prof, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Almost 2 years later and, over 40 arrests, yet no successful conviction. Will we ever see justice, considering just how widespread and well orchestrated in some parts the violence was in July of 2021?
That is such a good question. Like you said, it's 2 years later. It seems this case has been dragging on forever. It has to do with the complete failure of the security apparatus to actually see this or predict this from happening, and then the consequent failure of the whole security cluster to act fast to minimize the damage. And now we sit with the police, with the forensics and all that, trying to build a case so that the NPA can go after the so-called instigators. And remember, the NPA has to prove beyond reasonable doubt that these guys are the guys that was responsible for it. So will we see justice? We live in hope, but we should know that this will take a long time, because there will be evidence and there will be counter evidence, and it will drag on for a long time, unfortunately.
Why then were we made to believe, that once the names have been given in, particularly by, the state law enforcement agencies, that justice would be served? I mean, were they being optimistic, or is the state just inundated? Basically both. I think it was to calm South Africans down.
Remember back we were all on a knife point. No one knew what was going to happen, what was going on. The police and NPA were overly optimistic that they have enough people, it's going to be a slam dunk, and now we see it's really not. And it was also for the government to save face. I mean, you had a massive riot and looting and insurrection happening in South Africa that sort of, if we had good crime intelligence and intelligence services that could have predicted this, we all saw the tweets, we all saw the Facebook posts, everyone with half a brain could predict something bad was going to happen. And our security cluster was found with their hands around their ankles when it finally blew up.
You know, you talk about intelligence and of course you talk about the security cluster. I mean, we've been hearing now for several years that a new national security strategy, you know, has been in the making for some time, but we haven't seen it yet. What risk does this pose then for a country that has seen so many violent protests and threats, not having such a strategy in place or having one that is completely outdated?
Our borders are not secure. We have an insurgency, Islamic State-backed insurgency happening just to the east of us. We have illegal miners running rampant. We have one of the highest rape and murder rates in the world. And this is a consequence of not having a policy in place, any laws in place, a way of dealing, gather intelligence and be proactive. There's something called intelligence-led policing, which we still don't really do. We rely on a 1990s, early 2000 model of policing and security, something that the rest of the world has moved away from. But we keep on holding on to things that do not work. There's enough scientific evidence in criminology and related sciences that can show you what should be in a correct policy. And for some reason, we never do that.
And of course, there's the question of, you know, leaders who make utterances that some people may construe as inciting violence. Just how dangerous is it for people that are in powerful positions, you know, to come out speaking to crowds and saying words such as, you know, thank you so much for protecting me. But that led ultimately to some 300 people, you know, being killed.
That's the thing, you know, everyone has the right to freedom of speech. However, there's a caveat to all freedom of speech, and especially in South Africa. The old saying goes, you cannot yell fire in a crowded cinema. And it's up to political leaders to remember that. Their voices carry a lot of weight. So anything they say can be construed or misconstrued and lead to violence. So one should always have, as a political leader, have a guard in front of one's mouth and always consider what I'm saying could have a consequence that I'm not aware of, or it could have a violent consequence. And for that, we need better political leaders, leaders that can think before they speak, and just a general idea that South Africa, we're all South Africans, and this hurts everyone. Any riot, any insurgency, any damage to infrastructure not only hurts the community in which it happens, it hurts the whole of South Africa. So one should be careful with what one says to one's supporters.
All right, Prof, thank you so much for your time. I think that's where we leave it for now. Professor Jaco Barkhuizen, he is from the Criminology Department at the University of Limpopo. Thank you so much.